Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And I was doing some research, looking into the the whole MP, situation, right? Seeing what else is out there on it, and I came across the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services website, and to see what they have on there. And interestingly enough, they have some information here on the United States government, right? Let me read this. It says, and this was says here August 14th, 2024. Okay. So it says United States government's response to the Clade 1 MP outbreak in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and other countries in the region. Now, when you read this, it goes into, of course, the outbreak over there in Africa, and the different countries within that region that have mainly been affected, but also how the U.S. is working closely, to try and handle this, right? Because now the narrative that can be pushed is this isn't something new to us, and we have measures in place to try and get ahead of this before it gets any worse or something like that. And we pretty much saw what those measures were during the vid, right? So I just want to read a little bit here because they're back with their Vanessas. Okay, this one is a different one here, but anyway, let me jump down here and see. Let's get to the point. Right. So in here it says Vanessas, or the juice, will be a critical element of the response to this outbreak. To support this effort, the United States is donating 50,000 doses of the FDA-approved Jynneos V to DRC. The United States is working with other countries, the question mark or the who dat, and international partners to encourage donations that support, Vanessa efforts and address challenges to the V delivery. So we already know, right? The question mark plays a very crucial role in a lot of these decisions, right? Because really they've been gaining a lot of influence, right? Not just over the U.S., but really on an international level over the different governments, right? By making them the so-called experts on these matters. When they declare something like they just did 2 days ago, which we got to see what comes of that, because I believe just yesterday you had Sweden confirm a case, and then also you had they said, I think it was San Francisco and Cali, they detected some cases in the wastewater over there. Okay, so it's nothing new, right? And it's not that it's just because the main place they're mentioning here is in Africa. You think, oh, that's all the way across the globe. We don't got to worry about that. Well, here's an interesting thing, right? If you went to a concert or a party, right, and the concert ended, and then you went home, and then you saw on the news that there was an outbreak and somebody who was at the concert got infected. By the time that you even find out that information, you've already come in contact with God knows who, right? Let's say there was some contagious pathogen that was passed around at that concert, and a majority of people are asymptomatic or just, asymptomatic carriers. And then now you think about it, how many people got in Ubers to go home that night? How many people got a ride to go home that night? How many people, went where? Maybe there were a group of friends on their way back. They stopped at a bodega and then they walked up in there, they paid for the stuff, they had interactions with people there, then they went home, then the people at the bodega went to their families and went and had different interactions. So the point is, if there's something very, very contagious that can spread very quickly, with all these light interactions that you might not even remember, guess what? You're passing it on, right? And so by the time it becomes public news that, hey, somebody that was at the concert actually, tested, plus for whatever the case is, and now you're trying to find out, okay, well, you were at the concert, but guess what? If you were at the concert and you had something, everybody, that Uber driver, whoever he picked up, like, once again, this example is with something that's, let's say, very highly contagious, right? The Uber driver whose car you got in, all the other passengers that he might have picked up. And so let's say he picked up 3 people after you. None of those 3 people are going to think in their minds that they have anything. They don't even know who you are. They don't even know if you were at this concert. As far as they know, they're like, oh, I'm glad I wasn't at that concert. Not knowing that you were in the same Uber that they were, and they just didn't know it, right? And it was at different times. And the Uber driver drove both of you. So you see how very quickly, these things can rise. And then it isn't until they come out and say, okay, for example, we're going to implement like nationwide testing or something. Then these 3 people that were picked up after you will go and get tested, and oh, shoot, wow, they tested plus. And then everybody that they came in contact with. So then it seems like, how was it that last week there was 1 case from the concert, and then the next week there's like 5,000 people? Because the time in between, people getting tested and this and that, those things rise. Okay. So what that means is, you may hear there was 1 case confirmed in Sweden. You may hear there's an outbreak in Africa, but by the time that news is getting to you, people move, people travel. Okay. People travel, and diseases travel even faster. So before you know it, you're thinking, oh, I just heard that it's in Africa, but before you know it, it's probably already in here. And what I find very interesting is, as I'm going to continue to read, let's see here. Let me come down. Right. So it says, the risk to the general public in the United States from Clade 1 MP circulating in the DRC is very low. Yeah. It's always very low until it's not, right? It says, and there are no known cases in the United States at this time. And that's the key word right there, at this time. All right. Due to efforts over the last 9 months, the United States is well prepared to rapidly detect, contain, and manage Clade 1 cases should they be identified domestically. So how do they plan to actually do that? How do they plan? Okay, maybe testing to detect, but how do they plan to contain? Isolation? Or they're just going to tell you shelter in place, or not even shelter in place, just like, stay at home and isolate in your house or whatever. Anyway, it says here, the United States has a robust surveillance system in place, including through, or maybe I should say thorough, but anyway, including through clinical testing and wastewater analysis. We continue to encourage those at high risk to get, vaccinated with the Genos MPV, which has been demonstrated to be safe and highly effective. It's the same it's the same playbook. How many times have you heard those 2? You mean to tell me there's no other synonyms for that you could use, that they use the same phrase over and over and over? Safe and highly effective. Safe and highly effective. We heard about something that was safe and highly effective until we realized it wasn't, right? At preventing severe disease from MP. Now, yeah, like I said, what is interesting here is coming down. It says, given the geographic spread of Clade 1 MP, the U.S. CDC has issued an updated travel health notice on August 7th, 2024, recommending travelers to DRC and neighboring countries practice enhanced precautions. Okay, so if this is something that you are worried enough to declare um, a public health emergency or PHE or a global, right, a GHE, what measures are you going to take? Shouldn't you maybe implement some like no-fly zones or something like that if you suspect that this is something of international concern? But then let's think about it, right? If we're too proactive and we actually solve the problem, that's a problem for us, right? The goal is to pretend to solve the problem. The goal is not to actually solve the problem. See, the what's going on here is there are two different versions of solving the problem that we're dealing with here, right? There's the version that the public is sold, right? Hey, this is the problem. There's an outbreak. We're solving it by implementing these measures, doing this, doing that. Solve the problem. Take the outbreak away. But the actual problem, the solving of the problem that they want is the leeway to introduce new measures to push their agenda by using these events as catalysts, all right, that drive and speed up the acceptance by the general public of whatever it is that they're trying to push. So if they solve your problem, that creates a problem for them. Well, what do I mean? If they were to, I don't know, maybe implement the measures that they would decide to implement later on, but earlier, then the problem doesn't seem as bad because you can contain it, right? If you can contain it from the start, then it's not that bad, right? For example, I don't know, there's venom. You get bit in the foot and then they either cut off your foot or whatever the case is. Okay, that's one thing. You lose a toe. Okay, that you contained it though. But if you allow it to spread all the way, you might lose a whole foot or you might die. And then they come and tell you, well, it looks like you're gonna die. We need to implement some life-saving measures here. So that's the point. They can't come and say, hey, we're gonna come to everybody's house, lock you down, drag you to quarantine centers, whatever draconian measures they want to push. They can't do that if they solve your problem, because then there's no problem left for them to solve with their special solution. You see? So really, there are two problems here that they're trying to deal with. And yours is not really what they care about, right? It's a waste of a so-called crisis if they just go ahead and fix it. Why would they go through all the trouble to make it and then turn around and just fix it? Just for the hell of it. Anyway, let me get this real quick. And meanwhile, all this is going on, you got people that are, in a completely different mindset, right? And the Lord has all these things happening at once. So things are really just intensifying. And really is just now the beginning, right? As the Lord said, the beginning of sorrows. This is, because you have, turmoil even economically. This is Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Okay, so woe unto them. Now, in this time, primarily those that are doing this are, Esau and the ones that are in high positions that have the ability to and the power to bring to light these schemes that they plan behind the scenes. They have a goal and they think, how can we accomplish this goal? Because remember, this isn't they're not trying to get 5 or 10 or 20 people. This is a global thing. There are billions of people on the planet, right? So you need to be thorough. You need to have a strong enough reason. And what's one universal controlling factor? Fear. Okay? Fear. You make somebody afraid enough, they're willing to comply. Desperation. You make somebody desperate enough, they're willing to comply. Look, people believe different things, right? If it comes down to a matter of belief, you'll never have everybody on the same page because people have different beliefs. But there are certain things that everybody shares. Hunger. Make somebody hungry enough and, well, make somebody afraid enough and, well, why do you think blackmail is still a thing that goes on? It never died out because it's so effective across the board. Okay? So these people who are bringing these schemes to light know that in order to deal on a grand level, on an international level, that they're gonna need to have something that is going to be that impactful, right? That can drive a high level of fear, or whatever angle they're trying to go with. Okay, but we'll see how this one plays out. And amidst all this, you have the, the craziest, most I don't even know what word to use here, right? But they're just called the craziest upcoming elections. Okay, where these can't. And one I was reading an article, and one good point that was made was, why is it that you have Kamala Harris promising all these different tactics and measures to put in place to fix the economy, to do this, then the third, and then people are asking, but wait, you're vice president. So you're laying out plans for, if you became president, what you would do to fix the economy and fix things. Why can't you do it now? You know what I'm saying? You're a vice president. Why can't you push for these measures? I mean, the same things that you done messed up the past 4 years, now you got a plan to fix it. But the plan can't be put into action until you become president. Really? Come on now. This thing is a whole it's a whole different level of a sick joke. But we gotta wait and see. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak, Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.